am Kristina Conti, the Secretary General of the National Union of People's Lawyers, National Capital Region. Our future projects in NUPL is providing direct legal services to and in communities. And in line with my particular advocacy or kind of work, we're the ones who handle the war on drugs and the ICC investigation in the Philippines. So both domestic and international accountability mechanisms for uh, rights violations under the war on drugs, under the previous administration, and even under the present administration. We go to the communities. These mothers, and it's terrible really that the toll of this phenomenon of this war on drugs, this campaign, has taken its worst toll on women. They are the survivors, the widows, they are the ones left behind, and they have to carry on not only with their lives, but move forward with perhaps with accountability. And because it's always at the back of their minds, in legal, we try to provide them support as much as possible on all fronts of the legal sphere. It's not only just case building, it's also documentation, it's also about guidance on how they can assist, how we can assist in burial, in etc. So assistance with engaging with government agencies. So in these legal clinics, we call it, we provide aid, or we provide first aid to common legal questions, and sometimes even outside of the context of our advocacy in particular. They can have questions about their birth certificate. They have questions about why does it work this way? Why can't I have this kind of benefits in my job? And it's been really helpful for NUPL to be on the ground rather just in our offices, because not everyone has the capacity and needs to seek legal aid or legal assistance. When I started with NUPL, I was still a law student. And of course, I had no law license. I could not practice. And one of the first activities that I joined where I could kind of practice and provide legal advice was in legal clinics. So this was a service that was provided by the NUPL then, and which we continue with NUPL NCR now. So we still go into the communities and try to solve along with them their issues. And of course, this kind of work is not alien to me, as in my undergraduate years, I was an activist. I was in an organization called NUPL, where we were actively kind of required. It was imperative for us to really reach out not only to in-school youth, not only to our classmates, to our schoolmates, but also to out-of-school youth to really understand what was going on. And so I remember there were many times that we had to go to communities, even just around UP, and that's where we set up chapters of NUPL as well. It was a lovely experience because, of course, it expands your horizon and it grounds you. What's really happening in the Philippines, and what do the people really know, and what do they really understand? As a woman, of course, in my field, which is male-dominated, you would still experience some kind of misogyny, sometimes catcalling within the premises of the courtrooms. Of course, it's not as pervasive as before, but still, many of those in the higher offices, in the higher positions, are male, and that's why we call it predominantly male. The Supreme Court of the Philippines only has 2 justices out of 15 who are women. This is despite the fact that as of now, I think majority of the judges, and I could say majority of the lawyers, are women in the Philippines. It's because this is a field to some extent, no? Because you only exercise cerebral intelligence, cerebral strength, so to speak. There is very little hindrance or limitation, except for the culture, of course. And so women have had success in this field, in this arena. And when I went to law school in my block, there were 36 of us and only 7 men. So I knew eventually that the women will outrun the men. Unfortunately, there is this concept, or there is this perhaps reality that sometimes the women eventually drop out in the middle of their careers or early on in their careers to have children, to have families. And so it is a setback, and it is sometimes surprising for men to see a woman in a high level capacity, thinking that the women, in some ways, sacrificed something else of their lives. So, at least in my field, I think it's very important that there is representation, equal representation at least, for women in top positions, especially as the symbol of justice is a blind lady, Lady Justice holding up the scale. So it's really important that women take part not only in seeking justice, but also in the administration and dispensation of justice. Because we work with communities, directly with communities, there's a lot of challenges with regard to, well, intersectionality of their identities. The people that we work with are mothers, they're breadwinners, they're also children of their mothers, of their parents. They're also workers. They're also small-time entrepreneurs. In short, tindera sa kalye or sa kanto and so forth. So because of this, sometimes there are issues that take a backseat to other issues. And if they were to focus on a particular topic or a particular matter, they would always choose to think about their survival. And at this age of huge socioeconomic disparity and crisis, it's really important that we give them the opportunity for holistic growth and development. For many people, because it's a survival of economy out there, for many people, it's just a matter of getting to eat every day or getting your children to eat every day. And so the work towards sustainable development, which talks about even peace, development, sometimes takes a backseat. And even your community, even the stakeholders, are not ready to talk about the other aspects of holistic growth or holistic development. So sometimes I think that's one of the major challenges. Another challenge would be government. I'm from the NGO, I'm from the non-government organization sector. And government sometimes has its priorities in different places. It has policies that are not sound or adept to development. And in fact, we've seen several times, especially during the pandemic, in its treatment of COVID-19, some of the policies of local government and international government have not been attuned to the needs of the people. And so you know that government, since it's also composed of people, would sometimes tend to favor the interests of the few. And it's very important that us in the NGO should always serve as escalancers of those in government or those in power. Work with them. It's hard to have enemies nowadays, diba? And so if you can't meet them, join them. For example, the communities. If we find it hard to talk to them or to speak to them about access to justice, about equality, about larger issues in life, we would have to assist them in their everyday lives, and in such way, give them some space if they were to find some relief from their survival instincts. They then would have the opportunity, the space in their brains to talk about these matters. And so it's been very instrumental that we are there in the communities to really understand, to really feel our way with what they need at the moment. With government, which is one of the, so to speak, monoliths with regard to development work. Of course, we have to work with them. In fact, they are the duty bearers. Well, in the context of international law and international human rights, they have the responsibility really to see through the observance, fulfillment, protection of all our human rights. And so we've worked with government on several policy initiatives, sometimes in implementation initiatives, and in certain cases, we have had to go against government in the courts in the context of a challenge or a question as to the implementation of a particular law. I know this is the part that's always been seen on television or always been seen by the public, that we're always opposite each other on the battle. But behind the scenes, it's just the both of us. But on our part, it's really us with all good intentions seeking to protect the public interest. So definitely women have to play a role in sustainable development because it affects them. In the Philippines, I would say that we are sort of a matriarchal society rather than patriarchal. We always gravitate towards the mother. For the mother, the ilaw ng tahanan. And without light, there's nothing. There's darkness and there's women are also supposed to look after the children. And so they're looking after the future. And women have to be involved in sustainable development from conceptualization of projects, from decision making, down to implementation of these projects. I know it's a cliche to say, but really women hold half the sky, and they should be able to participate in every stage, in every aspect, with their own equal capacities and capabilities with the men. So, in particular, women, I think, would be better placed than their male counterparts in thinking about sustainable development on a holistic level. If you give women the space to think about development, they are the ones who, intuitively, naturally, have the altruistic intentions. They always have to think about the children. They have to think about themselves and others as well at the same time. That's a very peculiar thing that I've noticed about women. Women always think about everybody else over themselves or before themselves. And so it's important when you're talking about big goals such as this, sustainable development, peace, order. Women are also capable. I think this is admitted, and there are studies that show it. Women are capable of multitasking, and that's very important at the age where there's a deluge of information and things to do. So the capacity of women to multitask and to move around those tasks seamlessly is, I think, an added advantage in implementation of sustainable development goals and activities. Women, most especially in the rural area, sometimes have this backwards mentality that they are inferior to men, and that it's the men that should do all the decision work. It's the men that should do all the heavy lifting. But I would like to say that it doesn't have to be that way, especially in aspects where women can more ably look at things from a holistic perspective, and that is decision making, especially. Women deserve a seat at the table. Women deserve a place not only inside the house, but also outside. And it's sad that I think, in political positions, in local political positions, there's only a handful of women in top positions. They're always in mid-level work in the bureaucracy. So I'm feeling that the women think that there is a ceiling as to what they can do. Pang hanggang dito lang tayo. Wag na natin pangarapin yun. But I guess, really, women have always been at the forefront of decision making, right? Laging may masasabi yan. That's why behind every successful man is a strong woman. And so I think it's time to go out and come out into the sunshine. And these women should really have have their opportunity to share in the light as well.